All right, and here we go today with our next part of the series, which is creating a wall with a doorway in it. I've left a pretty detailed drawing for you to reference back in Google Classroom. The first part we're going to get started with is building the top and bottom plates, and then the 4 studs that go across the very beginning. We can use the rectangle pattern on those before we get to the door. So make sure you open a file, name it before you start working. That way that you don't lose your work. And we're going to say start sketch. I'm going to go directly over to the XY plane and create a rectangle that is 144 by 1.5 inches. Alrighty. And you see you got that piece. Now we're going to copy it to make the top. So we're going to go to the copy tool, select the drawing, base input, grab from a corner and move straight up. Say done. And we're going to set a dimension in between these two guys, very top line to very bottom line, at 108 inches. Now I have the top and bottom of my wall all set. I'm just going to move some of these dimensions up and out of my way. All right. And so now let's make our 4 studs. Start with your rectangle. Go from the inside corner. You come on down, and we're going to set that at 1.5 inches because we're dealing with 2x4s still. So 1.5, and we're going to say tab, enter. And there's my first one. Now I can rectangle pattern this line and this line in this horizontal direction. I'm going to need a total of 4 set at 16 inches apart. Say OK, and there we are. Now, at this point, because I'm going to be doing a lot of measuring and moving, I'm going to lock. Oh, it's not going to let me. Well, normally I would like to lock these pieces in place. Let's see if it will let me lock this point. Nope, does not want to do that. So I run the risk of maybe moving some things apart. Let's try this point. Nope, will not let me do that either. So just disregard that. Back to our reference. I now want to make this full-size stud. This is going to be one more stud in here before the header. And then we'll put our king stud in to the right of that. So you see there's a 3.5 inch space in between these 2 studs. So I'm going to take my rectangle tool, create another rectangle, bring it down 1.5, and set the distance in between these 2, here and here, at 3.5. Alrighty. Now it's time to create the next stud, which you see is only going to be a total of 82 inches tall. Actually, my next 2 studs will be 82 inches tall. So back over here, I'm going to create a rectangle that's 1.5 wide and 82 inches tall. And there you go. Again, I'll move these guys out of the way so that you can see a little bit more clearly. All right. So there's my short stud that the header is going to rest on. And now I'm just going to draw a construction line that goes from this point over. And what that's going to do is, I'll show you here. Construction line is going to let me set my next piece. So that construction line is going to be 34 inches wide. That's the entry point, the width of the doorway. So take your line tool, and we're going to go from here, make a line straight out, 34 inches. Turn that into a construction line by clicking, right-clicking, and say construction. I got this nice dotted line. Now from there, I'm going to make my next queen stud going to the right, all the way down, and 1.5 inches wide. And then finish this with another rectangle that goes all the way up to the top, 1.5 inches wide. Move this dimension out of my way. Oops. And create a rectangle that goes from this inside corner up and over to that line that is 5.5 inches tall. There you go, because that is a 2x6 in there. And then if you take a look, we have this cripple right up on top, this stud. So the distance from here to here, you see it's just going to be the center point, but let's make it easy and find out what this dimension is going to be. It's going to be 17.75. So coming back over here, I'm going to make a rectangle somewhere about in the middle. I'm going to make it 1.5 inches and make my dimension from this line to this line. Forgot what we said, 17.75. 17.75. There we go. Now that seemed like a lot of work there. It was a lot of work, but again, we're just drawing rectangles. Everything looks pretty silky smooth here. The rest, the rest of this is just going to be creating 1, 2, 3, 4 more studs, right? So if I come back over here, I can finish this up quickly by coming to the end, making my last outside stud at 1.5. And of course, using the rectangle pattern on these two lines, set my direction. That's the wrong way, so I'm going to flip-flop it. And I need 4 of them, and I need them to be 16 inches apart. I can go ahead and say okay. And now I currently have a wall with a doorway. Finished sketch. And it's time to extrude. Now, I'm going to have you do this one a little bit different. We're going to start with extruding only the header and what I've been calling these queen studs, okay? And we're going to extrude them at 3.4, I'm sorry, yes, 3.4 inches. So take this, 3.4, and I have a reason for that, which I'll show you in a moment. 3.4, and say okay. And I lose everything. Just come back to your extrusion, right click on sketch, and say visibility, turn it on. Now I can see everything again. So the reason I did that is because I want to see a difference between the doorway framing and the rest of the framing. So now I'm going to do a second extrusion where I just click on all my studs, and these ones are going to be extruded at 3.5 inches. Whoops, I clicked the wrong area. So this can be really annoying. But if I hold down the control button and I click back on that, it goes away. And now I can click just that stud. And remember, I want to see a little bit of a deviation. So we're going to go to 3.5 inches. And you see now there's some lines in between. Now, in real life, this wouldn't be like this, but I just think it looks better in this rendering if we can see the doorway separate from the rest of the studs. All right. So again, there's our finished framework. All right. And you know what? I have one mistake over here. I think let's just double click extrusion 2. I want to get rid of this line over here. There we go. Say okay. And now I see that there is unequal spacing right here. That's okay. because my doorway is framed in the center of the wall. Sometimes the studs are going to have an unequal gap, and that's going to work for us for this drawing. So now I'm just going to finish this off by changing the color. You know, I like to use pine. And for extrusion 2, I'll color it in pine. And just to get a little bit of a variance, look for some red oak. It's not too much of a color difference, but it's enough that it shows up. So I'm going to press extrusion 1, put in that red oak, and save it. And there you go. You have a doorway framed into a wall that's going to go on one side of our shed. Thank you.